What's up, you guys? I want to give a huge welcome to all new students who are attending house parties for the first time tonight. So many of you completed a commitment card at Motion Night last week, and a ton of you, and I just mean a ton of you, have decided to make your next step to join a house party. And I love that. Way to put your faith into motion, right? Like, that's what it's all about. I'm really so proud of you. And I want to give a huge shout out to the St. Francis house party because I had the opportunity to visit you guys last month, and it was one of the most fun nights ever. So many things just happened there that night. It was hilarious. You guys are unbelievable. Thank you for making that group so special. Man, wasn't Motion Night so incredible? It was the absolute best. And each month, I think it's impossible to top the night before or the month before. But every time we get there, you guys just blow it out of the water, and this month was no different. It was one of my favorite nights in the past 7 years because it was so much fun to take you guys through the history of Chapel Students, where we've been, where we are, and what's coming next. And that's what we're talking about this month. What does God have for us next? Sure, for the chapel as a whole, but specifically, what does he have for you? You know, I woke up today and I was thinking about this exact question. And the Lord gave me this really weird image of a pond. You know, I grew up fishing with my dad all the time. We went to this place called Three Lakes Park. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's over in Mechanicsville, like 30 minutes away from here. It's 5 minutes from where I grew up. We went all the time. And this place has tons of fish. They have 3 lakes, so there's a ton of fish there, and we loved going there. But sometimes when we went, the pond looked awful. I mean, just terrible. I'm going to throw a picture up. You'll see it in a minute of what this pond looked like. It was just covered in green algae, pond scum, pollen, and it was just swirl. You know when it like swirls around in like crazy patterns? That's how it looked most of the time. It smelled awful. There were always tons of mosquitoes. None of the fish were jumping. It was just so bad. We never caught any fish those days. And that morning, or this morning, I woke up and the Lord gave me this picture to connect to our lives. So many of us are living our lives like this pond. At some point, we decided to follow Jesus and we gave him our lives. But since then, our lives haven't changed that much. And our faith has grown stale. Like when someone forgets to close the bag of chips or crunch up the cereal bag and put it back in the box, it's just stale, static, and not life-giving. It's just bland, sitting there like a pond that has no life in it. It's the kind of pond that when you throw a rock into it, you barely notice where the splash was because the pond scum barely reacts to something disturbing the surface. My dad and I knew there were obviously still fish in there, but you'd never know it. You guys, in the same way, we may also have Christ in our lives, but does anyone even know? Or have we grown up so comfortable with being a Christian and not really going out of our way to show others that there's actually a difference in us? This whole series on Next got me thinking of a stale pond and of a fresh pond. You can tell life is in it because you see fish jumping. You might even see tadpoles swimming. You see ducks and geese coming and going through it. You can also skip a rock across the top of it. It makes tons of ripples on its way out. It doesn't stink. There's not as many mosquitoes. It's healthy. Everyone listening to this, you can make the move from just sitting on the sidelines to actually doing something with the faith that you profess. Everyone has a next step to take. What's yours? Is it deciding to follow Jesus with your life? Is it getting baptized? Is it inviting a friend to Motion Night in April or even to your house party? Is it donating to the next building campaign that we're doing to help fund the project? Is it serving on a team? What's your next? That's the question. That's what we're here figuring out this whole month. Next steps aren't just for adults or people who have been Christians for years and years. Everyone, yes, even you, are challenged to take a next step in your faith, no matter what it looks like. And I'm really loving this series because I see so many of you moving from a stagnant, stale faith to an active, dynamic faith. And by taking a next step, you're saying, God, I surrender to you. You're in charge. Do more in me so I can experience more of you. Trust me, the more you give yourself over to God, the next steps you take for Him, He shows up and shows up big. I promise you that. So be praying about what your next step is, about what God wants you to take. Ask Him to show you. Be bold and take it, knowing that He meets you in your obedience and your faithfulness. And know that your house party leaders are always available to talk to you about things if you need advice about which step you think you should take. Listen, we love you guys, and we can't wait to see you next week at your great house party. So have an awesome night, and we'll see you then.